Alrighty, everybody. This is the Design Template tab on Command. This tab is located just beneath Reports and above the Listings tab, and it looks like a piece of art with a pen on it. This is going to be one of the few tabs where, when you look at my profile, it's actually accurate. And the reason for that is because this is how I do, since I'm hired to do marketing on my team, my profile will be the one that I create them in. This design tab is actually it's very useful for many reasons. One, it saves money on a lot of other design software such as Canva or Adobe or anything else that you might be subscribed to. Some agents that you talk to might be subscribed to all of these things, even multiple things, but design's it may not go into as much depth and specific detail as some of those other programs, at least yet, but it is definitely worth the $0 a month subscription that it costs. So you can create so many different things with designs. For example, if you just look up here at these tabs, you can see everything that you can create. You can create email templates, you can create landing pages, you can create social ads, you can create printed work such as like open house flyers, etc. You can work on your agent site and you can create videos. Now the videos are neighborhood snapshots, so they're not like specific videos, they're not like professional videos of listings and things like that, so don't get that confused. But videos is still a new feature, so I'm sure they're coming out with more and more ideas as they go, but right now you can fill in some information and create a neighborhood snapshot video, which has proven to already be very helpful when it comes to getting leads. Now, your landing pages and your agent sites we're not going to really cover in this video because that's actually going to be down here in your consumer tab as well, but we're going to at least cover the basics of just creating a design template. I'm only going to do a social post design template because the idea of building it is the same as creating an email or a print one as well. So here, if you haven't created anything yet, you won't see anything on this page. These are all the things that I've created so far for Morris & Associates, which is why it looks the way it does. But to create a new project, you just go down here to the bottom right and click the big plus button. And you can choose whichever one you want to do. I always do social, and then we're going to import text and photo from a listing, which if you forget to mark this and create one without doing that, you can always do it later. It's going to automatically pop up with the property search that I want to search for. So I want to do my 3616 North Stevens Street in Tacoma. And there it is, again, double checking that it's for Sean Morris, Keller Williams office, etc. And obviously the picture matches. I'm going to select it. And it's going to take me straight to a page that does, that's basically templates. So that's the beauty of this as well, is that if you're not creative at all, or if you don't feel like you're creative, don't worry about it, because even though all of these other templates, and they've added more since yesterday, even though all of these templates don't show your house, you can always replace the photos and the information with the up-to-date information and the proper photo, and then the look will stay the same. You'll also notice here that there's all of these templates here in the My App tab. You can also click on like listings or buyer, and it gives you even more subcategories. I typically use, like in this case, we just went under contract on this house that I've selected, so I'm going to do the under contract. And it takes me to a whole other set of templates. Now, if you notice, up here you have Facebook, Instagram Stories, LinkedIn, Twitter. These are the proper sizes for each of these websites and what they do. These will be the most, I guess, they won't cut anything off, they're cropped correctly, what have you. And so I usually use Facebook tabs, and you can kind of see which one you like. Again, you can always change anything that's in any of these, but if you just get a basic idea of what you want it to look like. I like this one, so I'm going to use this one. And it's going to load, and again, obviously, this is not my house, and so I want to select the picture. I know I've got the picture selected when you see the outline, the dotted lines on either side obviously there's nothing above it anyway, so you know you're selecting the picture, but just click on the picture. Going over the KWLS, if you haven't uploaded a house into or a listing into the KWLS picture area here, you can always find it by searching the listing details right there. And the nice thing about this is once you have a picture selected, you can hover your mouse and you'll see you have three options. You have add an image, which just basically places a new image on top of the other one. So if we were to do that, that's what it would do. So it's completely separate from the image behind it. Then there is replace image, which literally means replace the current selected image. So if you find out you don't like that picture or you're updating something, you can just replace it and it will stay the same size and won't change a thing about your design. Then there's just use it as a background. So if you wiped everything from this template, you could use the picture as a background. In this case, I think this picture is the background, but we're going to, just for kicks and giggles, we're actually just going to replace the image. And I do notice that it does come across a little blurry, and you might see that here in the video, and that's okay. When you download it, it will not be blurry, and it will not, and even if you were to back out of this, save it, and then come back into it, it wouldn't be blurry. And then you can name, well, up here on the right-hand corner, you can name it, and then you can hit File Save. It will also autosave if you have that selected here, use autosave, and so basically every single time you do something, it will save it. And I recommend keeping that on because if you're like me and you spend a good half hour working on something, if you crash, then that's no fun. But anyway, so I kind of like the way that this looks. However, I will, obviously the KWDBA name needs to switch to Keller Williams Bellevue. So I have recently uploaded into my library all of our different logos. And again, I'm just going to hit replace, move it up here, and notice how there's like blue lines. That just shows that it's being centered within an object or next to an adjacent object. So it can center above this, it can also center within this. While we're here, I wanted to put our Morrison Associates logo in there, so I'm going to do Morrison Associates, and I'm going to center it in the box right there, call it good. You can also use your arrow keys if it's too high or not quite, center where you need to be. You can fine tune it by using arrow keys. And that looks good. I also, you could also change, you can change this to say whatever you want it to say. Text is fun because there's all these different, and they're adding more, there's all these different fonts that you can use. I like to use this, not that one. That one reminds me too much of Comic Sans, which is a big no-no in the design industry. We're just going to switch to Hammersmith, and then you can change the size of it up here, come down here, and play around with it. See what works for you, see what doesn't. Obviously, we want to change this to reflect the address. And boom, you can also, like these shapes here, you can delete them, you can add new ones, you can change the fill color. So up here, you'll notice 3 different options, and this is pretty standard amongst amongst pictures and logos and everything. You can change the border, you can make the border thicker, and then you can also make the shape itself more opaque. So that way you can kind of see the pictures behind it. And I like to use the opacity like when I have a photo that I'm trying to put words over, but I don't want to like block out the photo, but I want the words to be readable because, sometimes it's hard to get the right color. And so that's what I use it for. Going back to upload photos and other logos and things, you can just come over to like in your library. You can, well, hold on a second. I have to select a photo first. There we go. In your library, you have the ability to add, and you literally click and drag photos from your computer to here to upload photos. You can also select from a whole bunch of different like company photos, like app images, and like just they have a bunch of stock photos, again, that you don't have to pay for. I know a lot of agents pay to have stock photos of real estate and different things like that. They'll pay like a Shutterstock website, $9 a month to do that. Don't do that. Use Keller Williams. They have plenty of options for you to choose from. And as long as you customize it with your logo and everything, it will be unique. Lastly, you can see up here that there's, you can draw. If you have a touch screen, this is very helpful to you. If you don't have a touch screen and you're like me, using a mouse to try to draw something is basically going to look like chicken scratch. But go for it if you want to. You can also add any kind of shape you want. You can add different frames for photos. Like if I wanted to overlay this photo with like a star-shaped photo of something, I could, and then you just replace it with one of the photos in your stocks. And then obviously text, different sizes of text. Just because you choose a different size of text doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. You can change it any size, you can make it any length, any font, any color, whatever you want it to do. Lastly, over in the upper right, and I apologize, you can't see this, but my recording dock here, which helps me control when I'm recording and how much time it's spending, is blocking all the options up here. But there's different ways that like if you click on an image, you can lock it so that way it doesn't move anywhere, because I know that can be frustrating too when you're trying to move something else in front of it or behind it and you click on the wrong thing and move it. That keeps that from happening. And then you have all these different options to like rearrange them. You can move them to the front, move them to the back. Just picture everything as being one gigantic layered cake that you want to like layer it behind. Like if I didn't want my Morrison Associates logo on top of this shape, I could put it behind the shape by just clicking down on move behind, move behind. There's a couple other tools up here too, depending on what you're clicking on. Lastly, you can this is how you change the name. Testing 1, 2, 3. Click out of it and it will automatically save up here, and this is where you know it's saved up in the upper left. And then if you wanted to download it, you click here and it gives you several options for download. I usually do for internet options, because it says I do it for web and images, I usually do the highest resolution I can on a JPEG, and then you start to download it. PNG files are really good for high quality images or transparent backgrounds. So like if you created a white background one, you could create a transparent background. So that way, like if you're creating a logo for yourself and you want it to look something like this, without having the white square or a colored square behind it, that's what you would use to download it. Or if you're creating some sort of document, like if you're creating a printed form or an open house flyer or any other sort of thing that you would normally print, I would do a PDF of it, and you can do high resolution. You want to do print quality for sure if you're printing it, otherwise it might get blurry a little bit. And then you can download that as well. Once you're done, you just come over here to the Done button, and you don't have to download it right now. You can be done for now and come back to it. So you just hit Done, and you want to save, obviously. And it takes you back to your list of most recent projects, and even though the picture hasn't loaded quite yet, you'll see here that, remember we named it Testing 1, 2, 3, it's right here. And if you need to click on it again, you just go back into it. And you are there. Again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to please message me or Sean. We'd be happy to walk you through it. And like I said with all of these other tabs, you now know the basics, but go in and just see all the different things you can do. See the icons you can put in, see the logos, see the, go to town with it. Create a flyer advertising your business, advertising yourself, and just play with it a lot. And if you need any tips for making it look more aesthetically pleasing, please feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to help.